Welcome to Draft Professor, everybody. My name's Jim. This is the 32-person mock draft that's going to be starting in about 10 minutes. We get the podcast going before the first pick comes in at 7 p.m. So this is me going live to get the show going, make sure the feed is working all right, and the podcast is sent to everybody. And we're going to be joined today by Chris.
How we doing? Good.
How you doing, Chris?
Good. I got two laptops. One for just all the notes and everything. The other for just a webcam. That way, I don't have to worry about this shorting out on me or just freezing up.
Absolutely. You want to tell everybody what all your socials are? I'm going to be retweeting the podcast here. So
sure, you can check me out at lastcallpodcast.com. Also on X, which is Last Call W Chris C. I'm on YouTube and Rumble. I'm on Facebook, and we just did an interview with Anthony Russo where we talk about Senior Bowl, Caleb Banks, B. Hunter making a lot of money there. What's going on with Garrett Nussmeier possibly going second round, and even did some Super Bowl predictions. So, we're getting ready for the draft. After this week, there's no more football for 220-something days. So this is it after this weekend for live games.
Yeah, so I saw, because I remember seeing, I think on YouTube, I think I got tagged in your podcast yesterday, and I heard Anthony on it for a little bit. Chris, man, I love having you around, Draft Professor. You have a great forum to give more people podcast time, and I'm all over that. So as you look at your board right now, Chris, how many players do you have graded?
I've graded about 30 so far. I'm waiting for the combine to see more of what goes on, because there's a lot of questions right now about Jermon McCoy is the guy you're trying to figure out. Is he a first round grade? What is his health? Is he going to drop? Caleb Banks is another guy you want to know, okay, what's going on with the foot? And, of course, the dreaded measurements of the arms, where there's certain teams like the Chiefs, Chargers, where if you don't have 34-inch arms, they're not even taking the first round. So,
okay. And I believe you're drafting for the Chiefs tonight, correct?
Yes, I am. So that'll be interesting to see what happens, because the word out from Kansas City is they're looking for either a pass rush, number one, or a wide receiver, number two. Then I don't know I don't see them trading up, because they only have, I think, 6 draft picks or 7 draft picks. So they're going to be one of those teams you look in the board and hopefully they're going to keep their eyes on, but you're not sure who they're wanting is the right fit.
So as a Bills fan, my opinion for the Chiefs is anybody but Caleb Downing.
Really? All right.
But realistically, the Chiefs, I think as long as they don't take Jeremiah Love, I think the Chiefs will be all right. It doesn't make any sense for Andy Reid to take the best draft pick he's had in a decade and spend it on a running back.
Yeah, right. And especially Love, because if you can't pass block, then you're in trouble.
So Drew should be joining here in a little bit. And so specifically, Chris, your mic is sometimes breaking in and out. Almost like you were far away from the mic.
All right.
So right now it's good.
I'll try to lean into this one. All right.
Yeah. Hey, Brandon, it is good to see you. I don't think we have somebody drafting for the Texans tonight. So if you wanted to draft for the Texans, Brandon, you are more than welcome to, because I don't think anybody signed up for them. So, and we're still 5 minutes away from the first pick coming in. We do this to make sure that the YouTube feed has started and things of that nature. So, but that's kind of where we are. Chris and I will be chit-chatting for a little bit while more people are going to be checking into the podcast chat. This was a pretty good sign up today as far
It
as
was.
I think
Wonderful
about
summary.
half the teams. There we go. Steve is here. Yeah. So Steve, it's great to see you. If you guys have a chance, give Steve a follow on Twitter. He podcasts with Draft Professor every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, and he will be retweeting some of the picks here in round one. So, Steve, definitely good to see you. Thank you for stopping by.
Now, here's a question for you, Jim, not even the chat. Is there, if you are, let's say, in that 11 through 20 range, or even, let's say, 8 through 11 range, is there anybody where you would trade up for a top 5 pick? Like last year, it was Jacksonville went all in on Travis Hunter. Is there anybody this draft you look and go, let's move all in? This is a guy that we want to get. And do you see any team trading down?
Okay, so first of all, I think 32 teams would like to trade down.
All right.
But the Raiders won't trade down pick 1-1, but I think every team wants to trade down, right? The question, though, I think is the opposite, and you asked it a second ago, and that's what players are worth trading up for. So my opinion in this draft, the players that you're trading up for, I think are actually going to be at the top of round 2.
Okay.
Maybe somebody's going to trade up and try to get a tackle at the end of round 1. So, like, there's always the theory of you trade up to get your tackle at the end of round 1. If you're, let's say for example, like the Giants, in my opinion, need a tackle, and if there's a run on tackles, I don't know that the Giants. I think what are they 36? I think is their second round pick. It's almost the equivalent of the Jackson Dart trade, right? Yeah. So I think it's more teams will trade up to the back of round 1. Maybe if, but again, like Pittsburgh's already late enough in round 1, they're not gonna move into round 1 to get a quarterback. They could pick one. So I think it just comes down to who are you trading up for, and I think. With the depth of the corner and the wide receiver class, and, like Durst even pointed out, like the hit rate on first round and second round wide receivers is almost identical. You don't necessarily need to trade up, right? Like to get one of those positions. So
yeah,
I think unless you're trading up for a tackle or a quarterback at the end of round 1, I don't think there's a player in the top 15 of this draft class that's worth trading up for. Like, I'm not going to trade up for a safety or an off-ball linebacker. I'm not going to trade up for Caleb Downs or Sonny Styles. Those aren't the positions that you trade up for.
No, because I was thinking about it. I'm reading my notes, and there's not like an Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter, who everybody's going like, we need to get this guy. He's a generational player. I mean, you like David Bailey, but you're not sure if he's a fit at edge. You like Ruben Bain, but you're not sure about the arms and if he's tall enough. It's like a very good but, and then there's that but that sort of brings it down. Like even the tackles, like okay, Francis Mauigoa, yeah, he's great run blocking tackle, but he might be a guard. Or yeah, Spencer Fanu is a fantastic tackle, but he also might be a guard. He's very light in his rear end. Like it's always, unless it's Fernando Mendoza because he's the best of the entire class, there's nobody that you look and go, I'll trade a first, another first, or a third to move up and get this guy.
Okay, so Drew just sent a text. He is running a few minutes late, so he's going to be here at about 10 after, but we are at the top of the hour. The draft will begin, and remind me which team you're drafting for, Johns. Now I think you're the Giants. I think I remember messaging with you on Twitter, so I'm getting used to a few of the new names. Blake, I think you've got the Titans and the Rams, right? And the Raiders are on the clock. There is nobody signed up. So, Chris, what do you
I'll
think
do
of
it. Yep,
Fernando?
it's the easy one. It's Fernando Mendoza. Look, they need a franchise quarterback. They need a face of the franchise, and they need somebody who can handle playing in tough, sort of not that good teams. And look, I love Fernando Mendoza when he was at Cal. He won at Cal, which we don't give enough credit for. Like when you can turn a bad Cal team 6-5, that's a lot. And then this season, I loved his placement of when he was making throws, the back end, back shoulder throws, everything either high or everything just right in the window. He never gets flustered, even if it's zero blitz. He knows exactly where he wants the ball to go. Yeah, it's a perfect pick, I think, for especially for the Raiders, who were horrible at quarterback the last almost 10, 12 years.
Okay, and then Steve brought in the second pick there. So, what is your grade on Arvell Reese, Chris?
Arvell Reese is an interesting player in terms of how do you use him. I mean, I don't know who the Jets have as their defense coordinator. I don't think anybody does right now. So he's an excellent, rush linebacker. He can play the edge. He can cover a bit. But he's somebody that's like, okay, he's not an edge, so he's a linebacker. And yes, he's a linebacker, but he's not a cover guy. Perfect world, he's a Harold Landry type edge/linebacker where you can blitz him, he can attack the run, but we just need everything. So at this point, it's like, okay, you can't go wrong.
Okay, and then Francis Mauigoa to the Cardinals. What do you think?
I don't know. I like the player. I'm not sure if it's a fit for Arizona, but then again, they need a lot. So look, he's a right tackle. He's not a left tackle. You watch your tape, and when he's a downfield power runner, loves to run people over. He's quick in the pulls, excellent in terms of recognizing where to attack. The pass rush skills need help in terms of he'll have trouble with switching off. He'll have trouble sometimes with his footwork, but he's the best of the bunch. He's I think the safest of a bunch.
Okay. So, Drew, we go Mendoza, Reese, Mauigoa, Bain. Thoughts on those four players?
Yeah, first one that jumps out is the Titans, and Ruben Bain is one of my absolute favorite spots. Yeah, they could go wide receiver. They could go offensive line to help assist Cam Ward. But Bain and Jeffrey Simmons on a defensive line should strike fear into every single opposing offense. And I think that's what they need to do is go on their defense, trust Cam Ward can make plays, and continue to invest in the offense later round. So big fan of that. Mauigoa, I love that for the Cardinals. You don't know who your quarterback is, but you're not in a good position to find out this year. So just build the trenches. Mauigoa, I'd start him at guard or start him at tackle. Then if he fails, you can move him to guard. And at his very floor, he'll be an amazing guard. So big fan of those picks.
See, I will push back on Drew just slightly on Mauigoa. And I like him for certain teams. Like I like him for the Browns because they're desperate. The third pick overall, it's just you need to get somebody that's like, okay, an instant star. Like whether it's you go for a wide receiver, like the best one, either whether it's Carnell Tate or Jordan Tyson, you go for Jeremiah Love, just something where it screams impact player rather than just
Carnell Tate at 5 to the Giants. I'm gonna touch on that one because I think it's a great move because you need to get Jackson Dart as much help. What I'm kind of on the wavelength of is Jackson Dart is not a good enough quarterback to win you games. He's a quarterback that can help you win games and that can win games, but he can't win games by himself. I am not that high on Jackson Dart. So I think surrounding him with Carnell Tate. I mean, if they're fully healthy next year, you've got Carnell Tate, you've got Malik Neighbors, Theo Johnson, Tyrone Tracy, Cam Scatabo, and you have a very good offensive, at least skill positions. So you're feeling good about that. You're feeling good about Dart's ability to thrive in that situation. Now, I'm not as high on Carnell Tate. He's my wide receiver 4, but I do still really like that. Oh, come on. That's mine. Just stealing my picks. I'll go on this because I am very, very, very high on Denzel Boston. Denzel Boston is my clear-cut wide receiver one in this class. I am absolutely bullish on his skill set. So first off, you start at the size, 6'4", 209 pounds. Excellent. He's filled out, strong, great. He's got smooth, long strides that can threaten the defender deep. He's a threat between the numbers. He's got 549 yards in the middle of the field this season per PFF. He's an elite deep threat, and I think his contested catchability is absolutely outstanding. He turns 50-50 balls into 80-20 balls consistently. Now, he's got very deceptive speed and athleticism. I don't think the national media gives him enough credit for it. He's a very illustrious kicker and punt returner for Washington. And I just see the speed in open space. I think Chris might push me back on that a little bit. But I'm a lot higher on that skill set than elite blocker on the perimeter. If you're going outside run, outside zone, you can't have a better receiver for that. Then finally, he just provides value on special teams, as I said, as a returner. Now, I think his route tree at Washington was fairly limited, but I have seen enough in his tape where I believe that he is a good route runner and can translate to the NFL and continue growing.
Okay, so Drew, you're on the clock for the Saints, and then Chris will be on the clock for the Chiefs right after. So what are you doing for the Saints here?
I mean, my top two options for the Saints is number one, Denzel Boston, and I think number two, Carnell Tate is quickly growing on me because I think he'd be a perfect fit in that Saints offense. But sadly, none of them are on the board. So the Saints are kind of left in a mode of where do they go? Right now, Jordan Tyson's looking me in the eyes, but I'm going Sonny Styles. Sonny Styles is my highest graded player on my board. And Demario Davis, his future isn't certain with the Saints. He went on the Kay Adams show and was just very non-committal. He said he'll be back in the NFL next year, but was very wise when choosing his words that he did not say he'd be back on the Saints. But regardless of that, Demario Davis only has probably about 2 to 3 years left at the absolute max of his NFL career. And outside of him, the Saints running linebacker room isn't anything special. I mean, Pete Werner is inconsistent. You got Danny Stutzman last year. He's amazing against the run, but still needs a lot of development against the pass. Isaiah Stallbird, a UDFA from a couple of years ago, has flashed a little bit, but you really need reinforcements at that group. And I think you're in a position, take best player available. Sonny Styles, what can't he do for your defense? And I think he's going to be a franchise cornerstone. Someone you can pair with Chase Young. You can pair with potentially Jonas Sanker for years to come on the Saints.
Okay, and then Chris, you are up for the Chiefs.
I'm sprinting to the podium, and if I'm the Chiefs, it's no brainer. You get David Bailey. Their pass rush has been horrible. It's Chris Jones, maybe sometimes Carl Loftus, and then they've tried Mike Dana, and he has, looking here, I think 1 sack. Leo Chanel has 2. Jones had 7, Karlaftis 6, and then you had like Drew Tranquil, a bunch of guys with 2 or 1. They have no speed on the edge. And look, I know Bailey, he's not the usual Spags type of guy. He's not this long-armed, 6'4", 280, 275-pound defensive end, but he is a demon on the edge. He is a guy who uses speed, spin moves, swim moves, and they need this. This Chiefs defense needs somebody to not have Spags forced to call like 8 out of 10 plays of blitz.
Hearing Chris talk about a few of the guys as I've listened in on some of his podcasts, I know we're going to have a few very interesting conversations because there's a couple of guys that I know that we disagree on quite a lot where they land. So I'm excited for some of those coming up. Just wait for the Chris Brazzle talk. We'll get to that later. But David Bailey.
Wow. You're already throwing bombs here.
I'm not
like I'm throwing shots.
It'll be some fun conversations, but I'm just not as high on David Bailey as everyone else is. From a pass rush standpoint, I completely agree. He is absolutely outstanding. I don't think there's a better pure pass rusher in this class than David Bailey. He's a triple threat, can win the speed, power, technique. That's exactly what I'm looking for. However, I'm still not entirely sold on his run defense and his strength at the point of attack. And then I just have some character concerns with him. The assault of a photographer after the Arizona State game. Last year, he stomped on a player's head in a big loss. I think it's a lot of the losing. Like if he's losing, he gets down and just gets anger issues. On the Chiefs, he might not be losing very much if we're being honest. So probably mitigates a little bit of the concerns. But I still like him a lot. I still think he's a first-round pass rusher and will be a high-impact player for a team, but he's just not on the top of my board for defensive ends.
Okay.
So, Chris, what do you think of Peter Woods to the Bengals and Caleb Lomu to the Dolphins?
I like the fits. It's weird. You feel like Peter Woods. There's something missing last year. Look, he has explosive, good first step. He is that perfect size where you could always move him to the outside. He's 6'4", 310. He can move from the inside. He's very smart in terms of reading the play, understanding it, diagnosing it. It's weird. I feel like maybe it's a Senior Bowl. We're all now gaga over Caleb Banks. We're going head over heels for Lee Hunter, and it feels like Woods is fallen. But we'll see. He's the most safe defensive tackle. Caleb Lomu, the technique is there. I mean, you see him, and it's. I'm looking at my notes here. He's 6'6", 310. He's very athletic, getting out of his stance. Good frame. Good footwork. It's just the footwork gets sloppy when he takes on speed rushers. He needs to get stronger because he's just so. He is one of the lighter tackles. If you're drafting him, look, it might be a fit in Miami just because that is hot as hell to play there. But I don't know. I would have taken Fanu over him. I'm high on Max Ian more than I am of Lomu, but I'm one of those guys who just prefers big grizzly bear tackles.
I completely agree with your evaluation on both of those. First off, Peter Woods, he's got all the talent in the world, but I do agree last year was very concerning at Clemson. Now I'm a lot more hopeful because one, I think prospect fatigue is kind of getting to him. We've been talking about him as a top 10 pick since last year. So I think that is, and I think TJ Parker's performance at the Senior Bowl makes me feel better about Peter Woods in a weird way. Because TJ Parker was also someone we looked at very highly heading into the year and really struggled in that Clemson scheme before dominating at the Senior Bowl. He had some impressive snaps. So you still have to see it at the combine. It's going to be huge to see Peter Woods, just see him play, see him on the field. But I'm hopeful that he can do a similar thing and show that that wasn't his true self. That wasn't his best self playing on the field last year at Clemson. And then I do have Fano a lot higher than Lomu as well. I think Lomu is one of the highest upside players in the draft. I would agree with you. I'm a big Ian Akor guy. He's one of my favorite players. He's an absolute stud. But I do think Lomu has such a high ceiling. You just have to develop him a little bit. And I don't know if the Dolphins is the best place for that, but I do see the vision, and I do think he could be a franchise tackle.
Okay, so what do you guys think of Delane to Dallas, Chris?
Love it. Mansour Delane's probably your best man-to-man cover. I think he's the safest pick in the top 15 because he can cover, he can tackle. Dallas needs help at the secondary. Every team it seemed like was just throwing on them and getting 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. They couldn't stop anybody. As Drew here or somebody in the chat pointed out, his secondary coach is in Dallas, and Jerry loves taking big swings. So this to me, this screams, Cowboys are going, okay, either defensive tackle, but if Woods isn't there, we're going straight with a cornerback and solidify this secondary that's been leaking.
I agree with that. Mansour does so many things well. I have him a little bit lower because I just think there's something I don't think he's the best at any trait in the class. Chris will argue with me with that but I think man coverage, I have Chris Abney as my highest man coverage cornerback. I think one second. I think that Jermon McCoy, I don't know why I couldn't think of his name, is a more smooth mover when healthy. So I still love Mansour. I'm very high in this cornerback class.
I want to push back on I love McCoy, but you and I both have to ask Drew, and every GM is going to ask this. What is he going to look like? He's been gone for almost 2 years. So do you trust that he's going to be the same guy, or is he just a shell of himself? That's right now. That's why I would hedge on Delane because he's the safest.
We talk about someone who can either make themselves or lose themselves a lot of money at the NFL Combine, and I think that he might not even perform at the NFL Combine, but in those team private workouts, Jermon McCoy is going to have a huge impact. And if he doesn't do well in those, I wouldn't be surprised to see him continue dropping. And if he does on draft day, that's why. But it's a big if. And I would agree with that. Mansour is probably the safest prospect. Now I want to go to one pick. We had a quick receiver run, but Mekhi Lemon to the Rams. I mean, it's just fun because you got Puka Nacua, then you got a mini Puka Nacua in the slot. So you just have a very nuanced, very strong hands wide receiver group that if you have Stafford for the next couple of years, you draft a young quarterback, develop them. I think they're in very good hands.
I like the player, I like Lemon. I'm not sure about the fit, only because if you're the Rams, cornerback, you really need help. You're not sure what tackle. I could see them going lower for a wide receiver, maybe their 29th pick, and then either Delane or if McCoy shows that he's healthy, they'll snag him right away. But, I like the Lemon fit if they have a cornerback in mind already.
I think Mansour would have been their pick. I think Mansour would be a perfect spot for that Los Angeles Rams defense, but just came off one pick early.
Jordan Tyson is, he has great concentration, excellent hands, great route runner. You look at it, to me, the biggest worry is the physical toughness in terms of can he play through injuries and the health. But when I mean health, it's like there's no ACL tears, there's no foot problems.
There was an ACL
tear. It's just always, the soft tissue, the hamstring. You miss a game here, and then a game here, and then 2 games. It's like that will drive people crazy in NFL. And I get it. Hamstrings are never fun, but the Rams already have problems with some of these guys. Is Tyson for they got to ask, is Tyson worth the risk, the talent over the consistency?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I 100% see that evaluation, and he actually did tear his ACL in 2022. He tore his ACL, MCL, PCL when he was on Colorado. So there's definitely a lot of injury concerns, especially for a team who already has been injured, seen heavily a lot of injuries at wide receiver. So he's one that the talent is all there. I'm just definitely a little bit weary about because I'm not entirely sure. Can he stay healthy? I really hope he does because when he is, he's a special player. But it's definitely something to consider and something that is a little bit concerning.
So I'll go with Keldrick Falk. I love him I love what he is in terms of just like a raw hunk of clay. He is 6'6", 285. You see him in Auburn, and he has part of I think what hurt in Auburn was double teams, and they kept using him and let's use him as a defense tackle. Let's use him as an edge. Let's use him as an inside defensive end. And I think especially in Tampa Bay, that they're, over there, if you're going to say, look, you're just an edge, worry about this. He's good at stopping the run. He needs to get more of a pass rush set. But the potential is unlimited. I mean, I know you love him more, Bailey, just because you can see him do everything. And he's not just, he's a pure pass rusher. He's just setting the edge. He is possibilities if you just unharness it.
Yeah, I mean, I completely get what you're saying there. And I do have him a little bit higher, but yeah, he's just untapped. You see the power, you see the run defense. If he can just develop a pass rush, he's going to be an amazing player. And Jeremiah Love just went off to the Vikings. And talking with Hank, I cover the Vikings for the NFL draft at Roundtable Sports. And I do really like the fit. Now, I think cornerback would be a little bit higher. And based on the fact that we have Abney, we have Jermon McCoy, we have a lot of those top players still available, I probably would have gone there. But I do really like the Jeremiah Love fit still because you've got Aaron Jones, who's swiftly aging. I don't know how comfortable you feel with him for multiple years. And then you got Jordan Mason, who he's a good complementary back, but he will never be the true dynamic running back one for a team. And you just need to surround J.J. McCarthy with as many weapons as possible, and Jeremiah Love is that. He's one of my top-rated players on my draft board. I think athletically he's outstanding. Speed and burst, quick area quickness. He's patient, has amazing vision, makes people miss in space. Great hands, receiving threat. He really does everything you'd want out of a running back. Plus, he's got low wear and tear because he's split carries with Jadarian Price. Now, I don't know if he can be a bell cow back, but I don't think he'll need to be necessarily in Minnesota if you have Jordan Mason. But just an interesting spot. I'm very interested to see hear Chris's thoughts on it.
Yeah, look, in terms of Jeremiah Love, it's a perfect fit because you can't have. I don't think J.J. McCarthy is a guy who's going to win you games. I think he's an excellent young quarterback who needs a running attack. Look, Love is a dynamic runner. He is good as a pass catcher, pass blocker. That needs work. He's just a little bit small for that. But the fit for Love in Minnesota is perfect because he gives him an automatic, plug and play. You don't have to worry about scheme fits. You don't have to worry about, does he mesh well with this? So I like it. I'm telling you right now, Dan Campbell, if he gets Spencer Fanu, is going to fall in love with this guy because he is excellent at, pre-snap adjustments. He was one of the guys in Utah who was coordinating. Where's this guy going? Where's this snap? Where's this stunt happening? He flies out of his stance. Like he attacks when he's in the running game. In the pass game, he's just a big, massive guy with very nimble feet. Look, he needs to work on his hand placement. He's very lean. He's one of those guys where you could probably take him to a steakhouse, say, "Look, eat all you want." He still would say, "Oh, you need at least a good, 25 pounds." But Detroit's in sort of that weird zone where they need a guy, but they also want, Dan Skipper left. At worst, you could put, Fanu in at right tackle, move Perry Sewell to left tackle, and it works out well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the Lions with their offensive linemen, you see them do fun things. I trust Dan Campbell in evaluating it. I know it's not an option, but you just talking kind of got Caden Proctor to the Lions would be such a fun fit. Primarily because look at those screens. Look at those screens.
Yes.
We got
we're doing flea flickers. We're doing run options. We're going to do a offensive tackle screen pass.
That would be like just such a fun move. They're not going to. Fano's 100% the better player, but I'm just saying that would be such a fun fit. Kenyon Sadiq to the Panthers. That's an interesting one because I do think tight end is a position they definitely need to address. They drafted Jatavion Sanders a couple years ago, I believe, at the top of the 4th round. It hasn't panned out for them perfectly. Tommy Trembles, he's a good player, but he's never going to be anything that elevates an offense. So I do think it's important that they get Bryce Young as many weapons as possible. I feel like we say this every offseason, but Bryce Young has shown flashes this year. Can he be consistent? That's to be seen. During that playoff game, he looked great. It's just, can he maintain that level of play? And I think you got Teteroy McMillan last year, Offensive Rookie of the Year. Well-deserved. I love Tyler Shuck, but well-deserved. And I think you're building on that with Kenyon Sadiq, and I think it's a good move for them.
I'm going to go with the Jets pick, Vega Ionia. Look, it's not sexy. Jets fans will probably just either boo or scream, "Why can't you get a wide receiver?" But look, they need good. They need to protect whoever's going to play at quarterback, whoever's going to be running. The running back. They need to make holes. The tackles are all set up, and now you get a 6'4", 330-pound sort of battering ram, which he's actually an excellent pass protector. So now you have either him or Olu Fashanu, or even Armand Membu on one side. So that's on lockdown. He's very effective inside. Just a powerful guy who can drive defensive tackles back. That Jets offensive, interior offensive line was pretty bad. Their defense, everything was bad for the Jets. So I like it. It's a safe pick. It's not sexy, but it's a nice, safe pick. And, yeah, T.J. Parker, if you're going with on his junior year in the Senior Bowl, yeah, this is a perfect fit. If you're going off his senior year itself, that worries me. I mean, look, the skills are there. He's fast. He can cover. He has, excellent bend. Again, he's one of those guys where GM's going to ask, what the hell happened in Clemson last year? Why did you guys just disappear?
Because I think TJ Parker didn't in one game he had like 4 sacks. So outside of that one game, his production was very, very little. Now he made himself money at the Senior Bowl. I think him, Zion Young, Gabe Akis are the 3 biggest defenders who made themselves the most money. So I do think this is a very good landing spot and somewhere that I could see him going. But you just wonder what happened that last year at Clemson. That's going to be a question a lot of teams are asking during the draft cycle, and one that's going to be pretty interesting to see. Was it just the scheme, or was it injuries, or just what happened? Because it's wild. I think that was my national title pick heading into the year, and I think that was a lot of people. So it's just kind of bewildering there. But going back to the Jets, I mean, you are building a fortress for your future quarterback one. I mean, yeah, the playmakers still aren't there. They can still address that, but if you have your last 3 first-round picks, you invest at the offensive line, and all 2 of them have panned out so far. Vega Iona, I think he's 100% going to. I really like him. But it's just, I mean, you're looking good for the future for Jets fans as long as you nail the quarterback. Caden McDonald to the Chargers. Now, I have 2 really first-round spots for the Chargers that I like, and that's guard or defensive tackle. Personally, I'm not as high on Cade McDonald. I really like him as a player, but I have Pregnant and even maybe Chase Bisontis a little bit higher. So I would have preferred to see one of those 2, but I do really like Cade McDonald. I think against the run, he's immovable. He's not going to give you the most pass rush. He really just relies on bull rushes right now, but I see the vision. I see the potential. I just want to see him develop a little bit more as a pass rusher.
If a Pittsburgh Steelers get Jermon McCoy, one of the Rooneys will probably, just thank their lucky stars. I mean, that's secondary again. You talk about the Cowboys secondary being bad, but you could throw on the Steelers almost all day long and they couldn't stop anything. Again, with McCoy, it's just we talked about Caleb Banks and his health issues. McCoy's the same thing. Like, he didn't play at all. So again, he's that guy that the combine is going to be big. He's going to show, yes, I'm healthy. 2, this is behind me. And 3, these aren't long lingering injuries like, the knee is still not working, or, hey, there's going to be problems with ligaments down the line. But I lean towards both Bill Sparks and Price Carter, who kept telling me if Jermon McCoy's healthy, he could go top 5. Yeah, Max Ian Anchor, I am high on this guy. The more I see of him, the more it's just like a large grizzly bear that is wearing people clothes, I like to call it. He is 6'6", 330. He only guy that David Bailey and Romelio Height could not get around. He is a nimble guy. He played soccer and basketball in high school. Then he transitioned to football, so there's still a lot of growth for him. What worries me, though, is just you look at his stance, and it's a lot like Jawan Taylor, where he is almost like a foot back. You get away with it in college. In the pros, all it takes is just Chris Collinsworth barking on his TV set, and he's going to get called for it. But I love the player. I'm just not sure in Philly now that, Stradlin University is gone, and you're not sure what they're going to do for offensive line. But again, love the player.
I mean, yeah, I agree. Ian Aiko, one of the best stories. Like, he's still so untapped, but you just see the potential. You see the athleticism. You see the power. You see the mentality. There's so much to love with him. He just has to develop a little bit more. Now, I see Elijah Surratt. That is still very steep for my liking. I do see a lot of what teams like, and I do see the reason why he would go this high. But for me, and what is granted a very deep receiver class that I really like, he is my wide receiver 12. He's got a great release package. He's surprisingly athletic, has great burst for his size. He can reel in catches over the middle of the field, great blocker, flashes. He's got flashes of being a really good route runner, strong after the catch. But I just don't think he's as much of a contested catch threat as his size would really indicate. I think you see some moments on zone. This was prevalent in the Miami game where he just can't bring down the catch that you'd expect him to make. So that lowers him a little bit on mine. Then I still think he relies a little bit too much on physicality while route running. I've seen flashes, but I'm not entirely sold on his ability to separate quite yet.
So I want to answer the question the chat just threw out. Do we see either tackle from Texas A&M go in the first round? I don't see it right now. Now, again, Trey Zun, the more you see of him, the more teams might go, well, we can use him as a guard. We can use him as a tackle. I think he suffers just because he's not, he's just sort of in that middle where he's not really tall, but he's not really heavy. Again, the more of these tackles that go off, like we saw Caleb Proctor, going off into the Browns, you might start to see teams like all of a sudden look and go, well, we maybe Zoom's like, I could see Zoom maybe pop up with the Patriots, but I think the Texans are going to look and either go interior offensive lineman, or again, if Ionankor or Proctor fall, they'll go with that. By the way, Browns and Proctor, again, I love big guys. I love, my feeling is, and yes, I get it. I can see Drew just going, God damn, Caleb Proctor can't block. He has a footwork of a giraffe on ice skates, but Drew, 6'6", 380. Yeah. Look at that monster. You could literally
look at that receiving ability.
Say the most offensive thing, hide behind him, and nobody could get around him. Mm-hmm. And look, if Todd Monken ever has, like, as I said, Shedeur throwing a wide receiver screen to Caleb Proctor for a touchdown, the world will end as we know it. We will be in bliss. So. Look, if you're getting Proctor, you're getting it on. We can fix the footwork. We can fix the technique. God damn it, though. Look, 6'8", Drew, 380 pounds. And when he gets running in the run blocking scheme, he'll literally, steamroll over people. You will see, linebackers and safeties just go flying because he's just running them over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you can't teach that. You can't teach that size. You can really not teach that power that he has. Obviously, you're going to see the technique come up a lot. His footwork, his feet are slow. He's someone that I think is going to struggle his rookie year. If he's out, I think you're going to see a lot of people expose him, and I think you're going to see him struggle in pass protection. But I think he can develop and be an amazing tackle. So it's a lot of development, but I see it. And I just want to go back up the last couple of picks. There have been some absolutely perfect landing spots, in my opinion. Texans getting Emmanuel Pregnon. I mean, that is a home run for them. You need to protect CJ Stroud. You need to save him. He is under duress every single play. So getting Pregnon, someone who's strong, someone who's got great technique, who can protect him, is just absolutely pivotal. I think Ionankor would be the perfect fit for them. He's not there, but I think Pregnon's a close second. And then Keith Abney. We can talk about these other shit Jim's highlighting in a second, but Keith Abney he's my cornerback one. I am so high on Keith Abney. I think he's an absolute stud. My number one ranked cornerback in man coverage. He's a former 300-meter record holder in rollerblading. He's got amazing fluidity while moving, amazing technique. He's got great speed, great athleticism. I just see it with him. He's not the biggest player. He's listed as 6 foot, and that is a very, very generous thing. I think he's more like 5'10". I think he's a lot shorter than they say. But, I mean, I really like a lot of what I see. He can be a little bit too physical as well. He's going to draw a good amount of penalties in the NFL as of right now, unless he cleans it up. But I love Abney, and I think the Rams would be an outstanding fit for him.
I'm going to go a little bit higher. I'm going Lee Hunter to the Bears. And Jacob Infante said if Lee Hunter gets them, he will just be over the moon. Lee Hunter made money not only on the Senior Bowl, but against that game in Oregon where you saw him just quickly bull rush into the, across the line, tackling the running back just for a loss. He is a violent penetrator where he will just blow people away at first step. He's 6'3", 325 pounds, plays with an edge, does the dirty work, and he got lost in the sex appeal with, hey, you have height, you have Bailey, you have Jacob Rodriguez, but look, he needs work on his pass rush skills. You worry, about the weight, with all these guys, but man, Lee Hunter is a guy who everybody I talked to in the Senior Bowl, whether it's you, Anthony, Jacob, they all said after 2 days they were surprised he was still there because he just made so much money. And I want to go back to that question we asked regarding on the chat because I saw somebody asked me a question. I know we and Drew were just going. Let's see. Do you agree with this? Yeah. I believe based on his traits, I could see a team drafting Crown over in the first round. it's
too
just
steep
it's
for my
tracing
liking right now.
That's the problem. Is Demetrius, Crownover? It's just part of it is he's been passed by so many other people, and again, it's just unless the traits are just off the charts, I think he'll get picked because the team's going to go and nuts in the second, third round. But I think he's probably a third round tackle.
Mm-hmm.
And my final thing is,
give me a minute. So Dustin, you got Lee Hunter in round 1, and you'll be on the clock in probably about 20 minutes. So thanks for stopping by.
I'll take the Caleb Banks. I was worried about him because they only played 2 games, and then the first day of Senior Bowl, you're like, he doesn't have it. And then from what everybody has reported, he's cursing himself. He is just cursing other people. He's just obliterating people to the point where you remember, oh yeah, he is that impressive. You're drafting him for what he could be. Look, he's 6'6", 330. He is incredible burst, powerful, pass rush ups inside the middle. He's a guy who, when he's on, that's the key question, is a dominant force. It's just sometimes he takes plays off. Sometimes he gets sloppy. Sometimes he gets frustrated. So, look, if he goes to the Broncos and that, with that team and with that coaching, they'll turn him into a star right away.
Steve for the Jets, Emmanuel McNeill-Warren, and I absolutely love the pick. The Jets, we talked about them needing playmakers on offense. They need playmakers on defense, arguably even more. For having a head coach who thrived at getting interceptions and when he was in the NFL, and he was so good at that, it is just bewildering that they had zero interceptions all of last year. So I think Emmanuel McNeill-Warren is an absolutely perfect fit for them. He still needs some development in pass coverage, I believe. But against the run, he is just a thumper who will lay out ball carriers. He's going to be impactful and an every down type of player. I mean, they are pushing out quality defenders seemingly every year. You had Darius Alexander last year. You had Quinion Mitchell the year before, and Emmanuel McNeill-Warren's going to be next. He's someone that I wouldn't be surprised to sneak into day 1 or into the first round after a lot more people get eyes on him.
If Casey Concepcion lands in Seattle, that should be investigated by the NFL for just tampering. Like, how the hell did he get there? Cooper Kupp is on the downside. You're not sure if Shaheed will re-sign because some team is going to throw silly money.
He should go back to the Saints. Just saying.
Yeah, I know you're, but
get your ring and come back home.
Hey, Casey Concepcion to the Saints isn't bad because goddamn, this guy is just pitbull mentality with a slot receiver, kick returner ability. I loved watching him at Texas A&M because for a guy his size, and he's about 5'10", 5'11", 195 pounds, he will go over the middle and he'll take a shot and just pop right back up and almost spit in your eye and go, no, give me the next one. He's a dynamic force. You worry about how he'll hold up, and yes, sometimes there will be a drop here and there, but him and Jackson Smith and Jingba and Cooper Kupp for a wide receiver group in Seattle. Oh my God, that's just Seattle might be going back to the Super Bowl the next 2 or 3 years.
If they can keep Rashid too, you get that dynamic speed element. Like, that is the best group in the NFL. They are so well-rounded, have everything you'd want out of a class. So I do think that's great. And Concepcion did make himself a lot of money this year. Coming at NC State, a lot of teams viewed him as primarily a gadget player, someone who they didn't know if he could be an every down receiver. And he proved all of the doubters wrong this year. Him and Mario Craver absolutely torched. He's going to be someone we talk about in future years, but he absolutely torched defenders, and it's just been so impressive. So I really like Concepcion. Seahawks, that's a match made in heaven.
I'll take the Patriots left pick. It was Monroe Freeling. He's a tall, lanky left tackle. So if the Patriots go that route, it's either 2 things. Either A, they're going to release one of their guards, probably, and then move Will Campbell inside. Like, I could see them moving on from their center and then putting Wilson at center, Campbell at guard, and then Monroe Freeling, who is a better tackle, or they could put him at right tackle. He's not the big bruiser. He's not this big, heavy set, 350, 340-pound guy, but he's smart. He's aggressive. He has good pass blocking skills. Every Georgia player that comes out knows the game. So, look, I think if he lands to the Patriots, that will just help out their offensive line, which had some issues.
Going up the picks 2 through 4 in the second round, I'm going to kind of group them all together because I do think they are pretty similar in a sense. And that is a rebuilding team gets a great player at a position that won't be the most shiny. It's not going to be, they didn't get the new Corvette. They didn't spend all their money there. They went and got the nice Buick, which they know is going to get them well. It's going to get them a lot of mileage, and it's going to be great for them. So it's not a flashy pick. It's not something any draft analyst will either be fully in love with or be absolutely hating with, but it's just a great pick that's going to help you build your team.
Hey, Chris, you are on the clock for the Chiefs at pick 40.
All right, let me take a look at wide receiver and see who Andy Reid will love. You know what? I'm going to go a bit crazy here. And this guy impressed me in the Senior Bowl. Beautiful route runner, tall wide receiver. Usually Andy doesn't like those guys, but I figure Ted Hurst just fits for the Chiefs. I can hear Patrick Mahomes go, I would like somebody over 6 feet tall, please. Just one guy. You can't trust Rashee Rice anymore. He just is sort of a head case off the field. Worthy is a guy who's just, a lot fast as hell, but still needs work in his route running. And Hurst is just a safe guy they can have who could take over the Juju Smith-Schuster / Rashee Rice role and, man, make it easier on Patrick Mahomes. And, by the way, Chase Bisontis, I have him as a first-round pick because I think the Texans will go hard for him. I love his play at guard. He's not a great run blocker, but he's a good run blocker, excellent pass protector. He's plays the mean streak, but he knows how to recognize stunts, switches, he's great with double teams here. I think for what the Texans need, God, that offensive line just they let C.J. Stroud basically get mugged every day, probably practicing games. So yeah, that's a perfect pick for the Texans getting Chase Bisontis, Emmanuel Pregnon, and now it's like, okay, C.J., don't have to worry about the middle. You're fine. You're fine. Mm-hmm. I mean, sorry for the Browns. With him and Proctor, like, yep, you're fine. That's what we meant. Thieneman to the Texans. I like the player, and look, maybe this is a free agent move they have. They have more needs. I mean, tight end, running back, offensive tackle. But look, if this is about their defense, if Matt Burke goes, look, I want to get even better on defense. Thieneman is a guy who is a hard hitter. He's a guy who can play the run. He's fast. That might be the Texans' defense just that much better.
Mm-hmm. I love what you did with the Chiefs and Ted Hurst. I think that's an absolutely fantastic selection.
Yeah, you were going to go Chris Brazell. I could tell you.
I thought you were going to go there at first, but I'm very happy you went Hurst because I think he's got the best release package in the draft. I think it's so clean. He wins perfectly so many times. I think he's got really good deep speed, great ball tracking. I mean, Georgia State just did. If he was at a Power 4 or Power 5 team, you would be hearing about him so much as a first-round pick. But just Georgia State didn't do him any help. I mean, that was a dysfunctional program this year. There's nowhere else to put it. So I think Ted Hurst would be a steal. And I was high in the Rashee Rice pick when the Chiefs did that. Missed on there as of right now. But I think that they would do amazing with Hurst and give Mahomes a very good weapon for the future.
C.J. Allen to the Giants. That screams to me just – C.J. Allen to the Cardinals. I get why. Now, it's a good pick in terms of you are just picking the best player on the board. Again, Georgia player, plays smart. He's a guy that make plays that. And if you're the Cardinals, you just need help in everywhere. Anthony Hill Jr. That's the guy, for Texas. Yeah, that is a Harbaugh pick. That is, get that, get a guy who can play, can rush the passer, who can play the run, who can, cover tight ends. And look, I think Harbaugh wants to get back to Ravens football for the Giants. So look, what do? You get guys who fit the Ravens scheme. And then I think Anthony Hill Jr. would have been a perfect Raven for Harbaugh. He is a Giants player.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Drew, you're up for the Saints. You're 42.
This is very conflicting between my heart and my head. My head goes, I know we need a wide receiver. I know we need a dynamic weapon on offense. Give Shuck some help. But my heart is all Zion Young, and I'm going Zion Young. That is my edge 2 in this class. I call this edge rusher class very specialized. And what I mean by that is there are a lot of players who are very good pass rushers or who are very good run defenders. And it's very rare that you see a player who is dynamic on all 3 downs. You got Ruben Bain, and I think Zion Young is the next best one. Zion Young, as a run defender, he's already a mauler. He is insanely disruptive, consistently reaches the backfield. I love him there. And then pass rusher, I think he's got very untapped potential. I think he is the triple threat I talked about earlier with David Bailey. He still needs some development on the technique and some of the speed rushing the edge, but I do see it on film some. So I think pairing Zion Young with Chase Young on the opposite side is just so good for the Saints defense. Going into this draft, I did not think the Saints would be going 2 defenders early, but it's just how the board falls, and I'm loving it right now with Zion Young.
AJ Halsey to Cincinnati. If you want a guy who is an excellent zone coverage safety, he's your guy. Look, he competes consistently at the edge. He can diagnose plays very well, and he can read where the quarterback wants to throw it to. He has 7 interceptions, so he's a ball hawk. Solid, 6'1", 222. So that he's great. His speed is, I'd say, just average. Not great burst, but look, but again, it's another defense where you're like, they can't stop anybody. A college team could have thrown on them. So, yeah, I like that pick for the Bengals. And I'll give you the Jets, Drew, but I'll say Julian Neal to Miami. Yeah, again, another team that needs a cornerback. Damn, they had trouble covering. Julian Neal to me is a guy who can step in right away, physical corner, and a guy who just will help that secondary immensely.
These 2 back-to-back picks, Omar Cooper and Dominique Orange. I really, really love both of them. Omar Cooper, you've seen him. He was one who really wasn't on a lot of people's watch list heading into the year. But he had a spectacular season. Explosive athlete after the catch. Tied for 4th in college football, 27 missed tackles. He's got great hands, consistently reels in off-body catches. Excels at outbreaking routes, good vertical speed, sells vertical routes well, very nuanced, can win with tempo. So I'm a very big fan of him, and I think he'd be a great fit on the Jets. And then Dominique Orange. I think the Ravens, you just want to keep getting absolute dominant players in your defensive line. That's what they've done well over the years. And there's perhaps no more dominant player than Dominique Orange. Big citrus. He is just stronger. He is got really good first step from what I saw. And I just really like that pick. He's good against the run. I've seen flash against the pass. So I think that's a great pick for them in the second round.
Yeah, look, I know why Orange will probably fall because they'll look and go, well, why don't I have any sacks? Why wasn't there a lot of production? And for those who, if you hadn't seen him play, Orange had no help at the edges. I mean, he was basically at times you saw him double teamed, even triple teamed. In Baltimore with Jesse Minter, it's like, all right, we're going to have you line up at the nose, clog the run. We will figure everything else out. He's not going to be asked to do too much, but for the Ravens, that's just perfect. Like we get a run we get the guy who follows in the Ted Washington, Tony Siragusa mold. I'm looking here. Cassius Howell's fallen now, all the way to the second round. You got to think some team will take him in the first round, but I get it. He's just a small edge, but I don't know. Maybe you can help me out, Drew and Jim. Like when you look at, the Texans, and neither of those edges are big guys. Is that now the new NFL where, look, we want speed, just get to the quarterback. Teams don't run as much. just make the quarterback as uncomfortable as possible.
I mean, I definitely think it's shifting towards that, and it's shifting pretty quickly. I mean, you've seen the Peyton Turners, you've seen the Marcus Davenports. I'm just talking with this as a Saints fan, obviously, but you've seen those big bruising edge rushers who just haven't worked. So, and you've seen a lot of the smaller ones who have. So I think it is shifting towards that. But even when you take that into account, Cassius Howell is still an outlier. I mean, you just really haven't seen a defender with this small arms, this small, be very impactful. And now I think he can. It's fun to bet on outliers. And I do think Cassius Howell has all of the abilities to be a very good edge rusher. But it's just, I think he's going to drop because a lot of teams are going to see that. Should he? I don't know. We'll see. But I'm not entirely shocked to see it.
So, and what I'll also add is there's where the player is in your big board, right? So, like you said, Chris, Cassius Howell, probably a lot higher on your big board than player 45, but he's also scheme specific.
Yeah.
There's going to be certain schemes where if you're running a certain type of even front and you want an edge that can set the edge, Howell's not even on the board, right? So he's not going to be player, let's say 30 on every team's board. Some teams he'll be really high. Other teams say they may not touch him unless he drops to day 3. Right? He doesn't become a value pick until day 3. So it's just because somebody's really high on your board doesn't mean that that's how 32 teams will see him. And I think that's why he drops, is that he's just not going to be there for every team.
All right, well, I'm going to go and cover Drew, I'll let you take Tampa Bay. I'll take the Colts, Jake Golday. That's just a Colts pick. Look, he's a fundamentally sound linebacker. He's a guy who can play fast, which the Colts love to do. Lou Anarumo is going to have fun with this guy. Look, he's not, just if anything, this is what the Colts need. And look, if they can get this guy without a first-round pick, they'll be jumping for joy.
Gabe Akers, you've seen the three edge rushers who dominated the Senior Bowl all go off the board. And Akers, I think he's really outstanding pass rush wise. He's got great size, really good power. Can win with speed. He's just violent. He's kind of like a Tasmanian devil. But you just kind of worry about his run defending ability. I say this every time I talk about him, but I don't know if I've seen a player defend the read option worse. It seems every time he makes the wrong decision and just leaves his defense stranded. And that kind of mimics his ability against the run. It's been very lackluster at Illinois. So it's kind of a projection that wise. He may start his career as a DPR, but I still think there's a lot of value in that. I'll go Keontae Scott for the Vikings. I am a big fan of Keontae Scott for what he can do. He'll be a slot cornerback. He just can't play on the outside, but he is going to be impactful in really every single down. He had an unprecedented 13 tackles for loss and 4 sacks for the Miami last year, which is you never see out of a defensive back. But he's elite against the run, impactful, reads the quarterback, trying to make game-changing plays, good short area quickness, high IQ, physical and coverage. But I think he's got choppy footwork at times, especially when backpedaling. He's an older prospect, will be 25 his rookie year, and he's a very inconsistent tackler, 15 missed tackles in 2025. So there's a lot to like with Keontae Scott, but he's definitely not a finished project. So I think this second round, third round range is about right for him.
Jimmy Bernard, if you are drafting I love the pick for the Falcons because he's not a great athlete, but he's a great wide receiver. Route precision, smart, understand, football IQ is off the charts, knows how to get in the right route, knows how to, get in the right position, and knows how to separate. He's not going to blow you away with speed. He's not, a quick twitch guy, but he's Juju Smith-Schuster and Cooper Kupp in a poor man's way. And I think from Falcons, with whoever they have at quarterback is going to need guys who can just get open. That is perfect. Cassius Howell to the Lions. They'll find a way to make him. Again, I don't know if he fits what they want, but for a pass rush, they need help, and they're trying to get anybody. That is perfect for the Lions. And look, Dan Campbell will find some way to look at that guy and go, Calvin Shepard, make him a star. Make him just, a pass rushing demon. So there you go, Lions. With him and Hutchinson, you're all set.
Well, and one thing I'll point there, right? Because if you run at Cassius Howell, that means you're running away from Aiden Hutchinson, and that plays to the strength of Aiden Hutchinson, right? To kind of move down the line. So even though he's, like you said, Chris, Howell may not be the type, I don't know that the Lions would pass up that value. That's kind of what Brad Holmes does there. So, John, I thought that was a really good pick when you messaged that one in. So, what do you guys think of Keontae Scott in the top 50?
I mean, I said it a little bit earlier. I think that's going to be around his range because you just see a player. My pro comp for him is Alontae Taylor, who's a cornerback for the Saints. He moved to the slot, and they play a very similar game. They're just very disruptive in all aspects. They are kind of questionable in coverage and can miss some tackles at times. But you're just getting someone who will make an eye-popping play on first down, who can make an eye-popping play on third down. So I do think this is going to be around the range he'll go.
Okay, so have you guys got?
I think we've covered every player.
Dominique Orange.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we covered everybody.
We got everybody.
We're on top of it
Christian
right
Miller,
now.
we missed out on him. That Christian Miller, I feel bad for him because he had a great junior year, senior year, and nothing changed. He still is, a good dynamic first step, defensive tackle. Georgia just got very young. And then with Damon Wilson leaving of a transfer portal, that defense for the first couple of weeks just looked not Georgia. But, again, this is a guy, if he falls to the second round, goes to the Raiders, especially with Max Crosby seemingly trying everything to get the hell out of Vegas, this will be a perfect pick for him to stick in the middle and just he can play the run, play the pass. I feel like he got screwed because of a transfer portal, and Georgia just getting robbed blind.
That's a steal for the Steelers right there. Chris Bell at 53. I think this is a spot he could fall to during the draft just because of his torn ACL, and he won't be able to play for a lot of his rookie year. But when he does play, he is just so impactful. He is so good after the catch. He's arguably the best after the catch, or maybe not even arguably, but he's just got another gear he can turn into. Built like a running back, can break tackles. He's got that bowling ball build. He's not afraid of contact. I forget what game it was in, but he had a straight line to the end zone, and he had a defender on his left towards the middle of the field. Instead of just going straight into the end zone untouched, he chose to run towards the defender, barrel into him, and still got the touchdown. So you'd love to see that mentality. He's got great vertical speed. Now, he's not the greatest route runner and will miss a majority of his rookie year. So if he can come back healthy from his ACL, that's going to be an absolutely amazing pick. Cornerback's starting to go. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think we're both.
If Howie Roseman gets Brandon Cease, again, this is another guy that, the NFL is going to go, how the hell did they do that? And then they'll go, yeah, but Howie Roseman's going to find a way. He has first-round talent. I mean, he's 6 feet, 190 pounds. You look at the tape, and he's like a basketball point guard in terms of he has long arms that can just cover guys even taller than him. Under quick processor in terms of, is it a run? Is it a pass? Lateral explosion is off the charts. He's comfortable playing, off the main here. Great pick. D'Angelo Pons, man, that guy, again, if that's Jacksonville got him, yeah, that's Liam Cohen's kind of guy. Just a pitbull little midget who just plays bigger than his size. Made a lot of money in the national championship run. I love it a lot for the Jaguars.
Yeah, Akeem Messidor to the Bears then. I think that's another great pick. It may not be the prototypical Dennis Allen edge rusher because he's not huge. He's not outstanding against the run, but is someone who would be instantly impactful for them. I mean, he's just a Tasmanian devil rushing the quarterback. He's chaotic. He's violent in the best way possible. Like, he is great hand usage, violent hand usage, extreme hand usage. Like, no matter what you see, he's always popping off the screen. I don't think there could have been a better compliment to Ruben Bain than Messidor. So he's an older prospect, struggled with injuries, but he's going to be a great player in the NFL.
Caleb Ramsey is
When
I look at him, it's sort of you watch it. It's different from 2020 toward 2025, and look at the everything's there in terms of like the athletic ability. Like he is a guy who 6 feet, 199 pounds. You know, he can. He is an excellent guy in terms of attacking the pass. Like he is. Even though there's only even though there's only two interceptions, it's just the hands. But he can read the quarterback's eyes. He arrives at a catch point. I mean, he's an aggressive safety. So if you can get him better, if you can, clean up stuff and look, maybe it was injuries, maybe it was an off year because what can you say about USC? They can't play defense worth a lick, but he is a guy that I could see just blossoming in the NFL. And Jennings Dunker is just that is Gray Zabel 2.0.
Yeah,
Ernest Sill is probably smiling somewhere, going, "I love he is a perfect Texan." The mullet, the mustache. He is the Marlboro Man come to life. And look, he is an old school, just grind 'em, hard-nosed football player. The athleticism you're not sure about, but man, if you Texans get this guy, CJ Stroud will go, "You are my new best friend. I love you, Jennings. Business in the front, party on the back."
For Jennings Dunker is my favorite character in college football. So he's a two-time Sullen Beef. I'm just going to go into a little bit of backstory while we get some picks in so we can catch up. But two-time Sullen Beef Days hay bale toss champion. Threw a 60-pound bale over a 14-foot 6-inch bar. He's a three-sport athlete with wrestling and track in high school. So he's got that background. But from a personality standpoint, he is just there's no one like him. He's, despite having the mullet, despite being a farm kid, he goes against the stereotypes. He's a very smart person. He's a pre-med student at Iowa, majoring in human physiology. He doesn't have a TV and is a huge reader. There's a fascinating article by at The Athletic. I forgot his name. He did it, but it was just, he's such an interesting guy. He described himself as a nerd, yet on the field, he is just an absolute mauler. So from a personality standpoint, like, he's the best possible player. He'll be a team captain in 3 years.
All right, we got to let Jim talk about the Bills pick, because I can see Jim going, "Who the hell picked this for my Bills? Who is in charge of this? Is this a Patriots thing?"
Oh no, I am in lockstep with Owen here. So
really,
well,
I mean, interesting
Buffalo just got Jim Leonard as the defensive coordinator, and we're switching to an odd front defense. And we've done a lot of analysis of, this player did this in the 4-3, they're going to do this in the 3-4 type deal. But what Buffalo is essentially missing are the explosive edges. So like Cassius Howell, under McDermott, we would never have drafted him, but Cassius Howell would now be on Buffalo's board. R. Mason Thomas, the explosiveness there off the edge, that was not who I thought Owen was going to draft. But I'm curious to see if Owen's going to do in round 3 what I think he was going to do. But you figure we got Elijah Surratt, we got R. Mason Thomas, arguably edge and wide receiver are the two weakest positions on the roster right now. So until we see what they do in free agency, I think that's the way the mock drafts are going to go.
Wow, because I remember I said, "Hey, TJ Watt, he would be great in Buffalo." Like, no, he's too small. He doesn't play the run. He's just a pass rusher. Now I feel vindicated, like almost the Bills Mafia has realized, hey, smaller guys are not bad. But let's go back to the bigger guys. Blake Miller to San Francisco. Yeah, I know that, Trent Williams seems to have, the fountain of youth and keeps playing. Eventually he's going to have to retire. Look, Blake Miller is just, he hasn't missed, a start in his entire college career. 950 snaps, heavy hands. He's one of a few Clemson players I thought last year who just didn't regress. He understands. He is a guy who's incredibly smart, understands angles, understands how to push off defenders, sort of reroute them. Not the great. He's not. He's not a big rogue grader. He's going to need to put on more weight. The hand placement's a bit erratic, but still, for what they need is San Francisco and having to get used to now, like the end of Trent Williams one of these days. Great pick for San Fran.
So if we got all of them before R. Mason Thomas, we got Dunker, we got Miller, we did Mesidor, we did.
We haven't done Caleb Tiernan now, so I'll give that to Drew.
Okay, yeah. Caleb Tiernan is one. I really like Tiernan. I think at Northwestern, he's got very good movement skills. He can reach the second level. He can be a good puller. And then from a frame, it's a very interesting frame. 6'7", 325 pounds. Two-sport player in high school, 4-time varsity basketball player. You can see the athleticism in his play. He's got amazing awareness, moves onto blocks well, good lateral agility, has good anchor, great hand placement. But he's just kind of an awkward player. Good mover, but it's just where do you play him? His arms are on the shorter side at 32.5 inches, but he's 6'7" and a little bit light, so it's kind of going to be kind of hard to move him to guard. So it's just kind of where's Waldo? Where are you going to put him on your offensive line? But if you can find for a spot for him, I think he'll be an absolutely outstanding player.
All right, I'm trying to be. I love Jacob Rodriguez. He was one of my favorite players to watch in college. He is a smart, hard-hitting, just instinctive linebacker who just makes plays. He's not the biggest, not the strongest, not the fastest, but he just makes plays. I don't know if he'll fit with Denver. Like, look, if it's up to Vance Joseph in terms of just plug and play for a guy who understands defense, yeah, Jacob Rodriguez is that. For speed, that's not Jacob. But again, I can see it if you're Denver because again, he is a guy who just a defensive coordinator's dream. He's a football player, and you figure out how to get around it.
Chris, I'll let you handle that question about Zach Thomas, Jacob Rodriguez being a Zach Thomas clone because I just looked it up. It's a little bit before my time, so I'm not going to be the best to answer that one.
Yeah, I remember Zach Thomas. It's just that's hard. That's like saying every slow wide receiver. Oh yeah, he's going to be the next Julian Edelman. Like, only been here. I'll say this: he is the next Kansas City Chiefs Bolton. He's not as thick, but again, he's a guy who he'll be able to make plays. He'll be able to understand, how to get in the right place, the right time. And again, it's just defense coordinators are going to love a guy who they know. Hey, do you understand the scheme is? Yes, I do, coach. Do you understand how to make a play happen? Yes, I do, coach. All right, fine, you're good.
We in the third round now, it looks like.
Yeah.
Who
are you most surprised
Patriots or the Seahawks?
I'll take the Seahawks because
all right, I'll take the Patriots.
I do really like Romello Height to the Seahawks. You want someone, I mean, at the back end of the second round, basically a third round pick, it's fine if you just get a DPR. You don't have to have someone who can impact the game on every down. And Romello Height, I don't think he will right now because he's very small and he kind of can get bullied at the point of attack. But he is so dynamic rushing the passer. I mean, he's got insane speed on the edge. He's got great technique. He can bull rush a little bit. Like, he's got really everything you could want. I mean, there was one tackle who could guard him all season, and that was Max Inakor, who went in the first round. He was just unblockable, and I think he'll be an amazing rotational piece.
Malachi Lawrence to me is somebody who I like. As a passer, he's going to fit in right away in New England. He is 6'4", 260. He's a tweener. Look, Kayvon Chason is probably head out of free agency. Harold Landry's going to, if he can work it. The pass rush moves are there. He has a nice chops, club swims, inside spins. He is soft against the run. And look, maybe Vrabel will just sort of toughen him up and get him more, aggressive. But for the pass rush of the Patriots, they need it, especially with, as I said, Chason maybe leaving and Harold Landry on his last legs.
You can take the Cardinals. You take
Trinidad Chambliss.
Yep.
That is a pick. Look, I don't know how he fits well in Arizona. For the McVay-Shanahan offense, they want precision passing. They want, play within the scheme. And Trinidad Chambliss is just he does a lot of stuff wrong, but it works. So
Kinda like a
running
mini
10
Kyler
yards
Murray.
back, that will drive Matt LaFleur crazy. He will just start pulling hair out, just running around playing backyard football. He will pull his hair out. But if you can rein him in, I get it. It's just, I look at him almost like in the same way that a Doug Flutie or meets Bailey Zappi, sort of like where he is as the quarterback OC. You're going to have to build around him. I don't know. Again, the greatest story in football since Kurt Warner, but he's going to drive. He will.
So I want to take this one by
within
Brandon for a
3 weeks.
second. So Brandon, in fairness, Jolene, I think, is the podcaster that lives closest to Phoenix.
Yep.
Right, or she's the drafter. So I appreciate Jolene taking on a second team, but I think that you have to take a swing at quarterback. I think that's what you have to do, right?
No, I agree, and I like him for certain teams, but it just for the McVay offense, like Garrett Nussmeier, I think would fit for Arizona because he is smart, understands the reads, the checkdowns. He is more Mac Jones, which is what they want. Chambliss is a guy that almost like for Detroit, like if you were an Andy Reid, if you are a Monken, you're like, okay, you are what you are, and we'll work around what you are. And so again, it's like the Steelers, I think, with McCarthy would be even more better because McCarthy could go, okay, I dealt with Favre, I dealt with Rodgers, I can deal with you. I'll go. All right, Drew's gonna. Drew, I can see Drew eyeing the Eagles pick. So
I'll cover the first quick, and then we'll have.
Raiders, I'll take the Eagles.
Okay, yeah.
Chris Brazell to the Philadelphia Eagles. Why not? If there was ever the talent is there. 6'4", 205. Long strides. He can catch in traffic. He can chuck wide cornerbacks off. Yeah, he dogs it a bit. Yes, he probably has a bit of an attitude. Yes, if you thought A.J. Brown was feuding with Jalen Hurts, this kid's going to also just drive Hurts crazy. But you know what? It just screams Philly. And there's enough leaders in Philly who might be able to slap him upside the head if he, does some of this, half jogging through a route or giving up and just literally cuss him out. If not him, the fans will definitely do it.
Yeah, I like him a little bit better in the third round, but I'm still not to the extent. He's outstanding talent. Like I won't deny that at all. Great vertical speed, makes some amazing plays. And I don't think he's one of those prototypical Tennessee scheme wide receivers. I do think he can do some route running and all that. But the effort issues are such a red flag for me on that. And it's just hard to get that bad taste out of my mouth. He's got a thin, wiry frame. And from a blocking standpoint, I think he's the worst blocking receiver in this class. And then I don't think he's great in contested catch situation. So that kind of drops me down a little bit. But yeah, I'm not as mad as the pick when it's in the third round, but I still think he's a day 3 player. Now going up, I'll cover the Titans and the Raiders quick. So first off, it was Malachi Fields to the Titans, right?
Yes.
Okay, I mean, I think that's a great pick, especially after the Senior Bowl. He showed that he can be more than just an X receiver. He showed that he's got a little bit of juice. He's got a great contested catch. We already knew his catch radius was amazing. But I think he showed a lot during the Senior Bowl. He can show that he could be a number 1 wide receiver. So I do really like giving Cam Ward that consistent threat. And then the Raiders. Hey, Ashton Jeanty did pretty well when Cage Casey was blocking for him in college. Why not bring it to the next level? Put him at guard. You got a really good run blocker who knows Jeanty well. I mean, he still needs some development in pass protection. You need to move him to guard. He's not a tackle. But I do really like the pick. Just keep with the continuity. Let Jeanty go.
Jonah Coleman to the Texans is just perfect for them. He's not going to be a home run threat. He's not, going to dance around the hall. He is a bowling ball of a guy, 5'9", 225 pounds. He just runs people over. He is A.J. Dillon except shorter. And for the Texans, I think that just goes back to I think D'Amico Ryans, if he could, he would just do power run, run people over. I'm not going to get fancy with passing. Coleman's his kind of guy. Chris McClellan to the Browns, love it. He does everything well. Nothing great, but well. Like he has good pass rushing, clogs up the run. He's not too big. He's about 6'3", 305, so he's not too big of a guy, but he's just somebody who can do the dirty work so that guys like Myles Garrett can just focus on the pass.
I'm going to the Texans, and he's just a perfect complement, Jonah Coleman, is to Woody Marks. I think it's a great fit. He's not my highest graded running back on the board, but for what the Texans need, I do think he is the right pick there. Then Derek Moore. Did you talk about him already, or
I have not? I thought I took Chris McClellan.
They took an Ohio State player round 1. They took a Michigan player round 3. How is that going to work?
They just want some fire in that locker room, get some energy up. But Derek Moore is just pure power. He's very dominant. You saw it in the Senior Bowl. You saw him highlight a clip where he just ran a guy over. But that's right now really his extent to me from what I saw. I want to rewatch him soon because it's been a little bit since I've watched him. But I think as a pass rusher, he is limited to bull rushing right now. I think he's got the potential to be more than that, but he just lacks power, other moves right now. He relies too much on the bull rush. Then as a run defender, I do see it a lot. He's very disruptful, can throw defenders off him, push the pile back. So I do really like him in the 3rd round, and the Commanders need an edge rusher. They need someone who can just lay the boom, who can be that big disruptor, and I think that could be Derek Moore.
So I'm going to give Parker a minute. Maybe
while we wait, can I start scouting for the Saints? If we use,
sure.
Can we look at wide? I need to see wide receiver, a tight end, and because I know who I. Okay, can you scroll down? Okay. Ooh. Okay.
I'm curious. Do you guys have a day 2 or day 3 on Lewis Bond?
I'm high on Lewis Bond. I'm like, he's my top 10 receiver for me. He's wide receiver 9.
So I have day 3 because I have other guys ahead of him. But
can we see tight end quick? Okay,
I think most of them are there. I think only one tight end has been taken in the first 72 picks.
Okay, we'll see what if Parker goes for the Bengals. But
yeah,
I got to decide. There's 3 players. There's 3 players I'm trying to decide between. Okay, so right now it's a 3-way race between Emmett Johnson, running back from Nebraska. That's my boy. A little bit of a hometown pick there, so that's a little tough for me. And then it would be Tyron Montgomery from John Carroll. Why not just have a little fun with it? Or Lewis Bond. So I just got to think of that. Got to let it marinate for a little bit.
Yeah, remember, Parker, the board here is based upon all of the people that have done Bengals mock drafts. So if you might want to go search depending upon what, if you're looking for edges. Oh, okay. You got it. Pick us in. Darrell Jackson. So where do you guys have Darrell Jackson? And he went to the Bengals at 72.
Hey, Chris, you can cover this one.
Yeah, I like what he brings in terms of the athletic ability. Again, this is a guy who's about 6'5", 330 pounds. And look, I know there were questions going into this year, even after the year, like, all right, is he motivated? Does he try hard? I give him credit. He played not only the Shrine Bowl, but he goes straight to the Senior Bowl, and he is, I guess, impressed a lot of people. If it's one of those things, and you got to get him motivated, you got to make sure the weight's sort of in track. But if you can unlock it, he'll be a force. He is just the athletic gifts and talent that you want in a defensive tackle.
Mm-hmm. Okay, for the Saints, I'm going to go wide receiver. I didn't even know Antonio Williams was there. I'm not going to go with him because I think the Saints will draft a Senior Bowl player. We had 7 scouts there on the American team, I believe, and all the scouts are focused on the national. So Saints are going to be probably at least 5 guys in the Senior Bowl they're drafting. And so that brings up the question for me. I said it was between no, I'm not Jacoby Lane. I'm not a fan. I'm off the Jacoby Lane train. Nope. So I have to go down, and it's between Tyrant Montgomery or Lewis Bond.
No,
And right
Brendan
now,
Thompson.
I'm gonna. I do love Brennan Thompson, and I think he would fill the Rashid Shaheed role. But before I draft him, I need the Saints to get someone else. I don't think he can be that just pure wide receiver. So if they get like a Romeo Dobbs or something like that in free agency, I'd be more willing. But right now, I am going to go with Lewis Bond. He was my pick before to win Senior Bowl MVP. Didn't happen, but he still had a very good week. And I think he fits well into what the Saints need for an offense. You've got Chris Olave, you've got Devon Vele. Those are your two outside receivers. Devon Vele is going to be that middle of the field contested catch receiver, and you have Olave as that deep threat. So I think having the more shifty receiver that you don't have to play in the slot is a very vital piece for the Saints offense that they're missing right now. I said it earlier, Lewis Bond is my wide receiver 8, actually, so I misspoke. Great after the catch, tough receiver to bring down, amazing agility. He's very twitchy, great short area quickness, rapid accelerator, reliable hands. He doesn't have top end speed or is the most physical, but I don't need that in my slot receiver. So I think he's just a perfect fit. And Boston College did him no favors. Absolutely none. I think he would be a lot higher regarded of a prospect if he didn't go to Boston College. So I'll let you get on to your Chiefs now, but
All right, I'm looking around and see. Oof, this is tough because I'll probably change my mind come March. Like right now, I'm under the assumption that, you know what? Okay, he's not going to, Kelsey's going to come back. So right now, since I believe he's coming back, I'm taking Jalen Kilgore. I think, look, he is an athletic, hard-hitting, safety. I think Brian Cook is gone. Some team's going to overpay for him. So Spags gets a guy that does everything that he wants, just attack. Maybe needs some work with the pass game in terms of he can bite on fakes. But again, but he's the Nick Amenowari type of safety where you just look and go, he has all the stuff. He just is tempting.
mm-hmm. It's like a mini version of Nick Emanwari from South Carolina last year. I don't mean in size, but I mean in kind of just ability. He's still an amazing player, but Emanwari was just everywhere. I mean, you've seen it with the Seahawks. I really like Kilgore. I think he's very versatile. So I think that's a good pick for the Chiefs. I'm surprised. I'm a little surprised. I thought you were going to go with the tight end, whether it was Trigg or Delp there. So
as I said, it could change me. If Kelsey doesn't come back, I think they will take a tight end. But if he does, they'll wait one more year and go, look, we're losing Brian Cook because they'll probably get $12 million per year in free agency. So let's get our safety now.
The Dolphins decided we are not letting our secondary be attacked. Is that their second or third cornerback in this draft?
Second.
I mean, Takario Davis, just a big cornerback. You've seen it with all the Washington guys. He had a down year in 2024, but I didn't think he performed as badly this year, and I think this is a pretty good slot for them. And then Steelers, Isaiah World. You talk about someone who he has all of the ability in the world. He's got everything literally in the world, but everything you can't teach, he has. But just the technique and all that is kind of sloppy right now. So I think he's someone who you really can't play him year one. If you do, you're getting pressured there a lot, especially knowing that you're going up against Myles Garrett twice a year. That is a scary sight for whoever the Steelers quarterback is next year. If you have Isaiah World trying to defend Myles Garrett. But if you give him 2-3 years, I think World really could develop into someone a really good offensive tackle. So just needs the development, but everything is there.
I think you could start him in small spurts, but yeah, you would have to have like a tight end chip. You would have to have a running back. You'd have to have somebody sort of to help because he's raw as hell. He's still developing the run blocking. He's adequate in terms of off a snap. The experience isn't there, but again, you can't. 6'8", 335 pounds. He's just a massive human being. I mean, if Mike McCarthy can unlock everything, he could be an all-pro.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. Terrene York to the Bucks. I mean, he is the Levante David apprentice. Give him a year to develop under Levante David, and you could have someone because I don't know if Levante David how much longer he's got left. I mean, I remember as a kid watching him play on that Nebraska teams, like when I was very little, like some of the first memories of going to a Nebraska football game, and there was Levante David just being amazing. So he's still playing in the NFL, And I love it, but I think his time's running out. So getting Tareen Yorks, a really good captain, someone who will be a leader on and off the field for your defense, is a very good pick.
Denise Sutton to the Colts. Well, it fits what they are. I mean, Danny Denise is a guy who plays with pure speed. He's a guy he's not the greatest run stuffer, but for pure pass rushing, that fits what Lou Amarillo and the Colts love to do. Just keep attacking. So yeah, it's perfect fit especially for the Colts. Brian Parker is an interesting one. He played tackle at Duke. At the Shrine Bowl, they had him at guard and center. Everybody was talking to him. He was the belle of the ball at the Shrine Bowl. It'd be interesting. I want to see what he can do. I mean, as a tackle, he's average. He can play guard. Center, he could be great. So again, it depends on the O-line coach for Atlanta. Can they figure? If they can get a snap down right away, that'd be a great pick for Atlanta.
Okay, so we had Brian Parker Jr. and Isaiah World. Have you guys gotten to those ones yet?
I think we've covered everyone. We've been kind of on it. Yeah.
Well, you guys are flying. I mean, this whole draft is flying. Shout out to everybody that's putting the picks in.
Chris, I'll ask you a question while we wait.
Yeah,
where are you on Ty Simpson? I could see him being a first round pick, yet I can still see him not going into the 4th round. Where are you on him? Where do you think he'd get drafted?
He's another guy I want to see at the combine. I've heard from some people, like Albert Breer was talking about, he's probably more closer to 6'1" than 6'2". Looked great right off the bat, but the more of a tape people saw, the more he got nervous in the pocket. He's not the greatest athlete. I could see him again. I have him going all over the place. There's some scenarios I see him. Well, Rams could take him at 29. That's the McVay guy. You sit him for a year. We're definitely not getting a quarterback next year in the draft. So I could see him going as high as probably the 1st round to the Rams. I could see him falling all the way to the 3rd round and being taken by Arizona, the Rams, or even the Steelers. It all depends on the offense coordinator coach. Do you trust him to be a guy who can just be Andy Dalton 2.0, or are you worried that he's not the kind of quarterback for the modern NFL? Be a great athlete.
Yeah, him to the Rams is one of my favorite fits in this entire draft. I think if you give him the weapons that they have, if you give him time to develop under Matthew Stafford, under Sean McVay, I think you could have a quarterback of the future. Kyle Lewis, I don't know why I keep trying to pronounce his last name like that. I don't know why.
You're a Saints fan and you're thinking in French.
Well, that's what we'll go with. But Kyle Lewis, he's kind of, where do you play? He's very undersized for a linebacker, but at the Senior Bowl, he had such a big impact. I mean, he was everywhere on the field, making plays left and right. So I think I would be surprised if he was even mentioned in our mock drafts before the Senior Bowl, but now he's 100% worthy of being selected in the first 2 days.
Logan Jones, it's funny. We were talking about him, you and me, Drew, I feel like a while back. Like he's a smaller center in terms of the size. He's 6'3", 300 pounds. He's not the mauler, but again, an Iowa guy who it's athleticism in terms of speed, quickness, relentless work ethic. He's been able to master center position in terms of reading coverages, reading the line, who's stunting, who's blitzing. He has the attitude. It's just a frame. But for Jacksonville, Liam Cohen's offense, which Liam, just like any kind of McVay, Shanahan guy, he wants to make it as easy for the quarterback as possible. Great fit for Jacksonville.
And Keelan Rutledge. I mean, if you want just a darn tough football player, you really can't get any better than Rutledge. There's a viral clip of him. His face is all bloody from a bloody nose. I don't know what it was. And he's on the sideline, hyping up his guys. He's just the ultimate football player, the ultimate tough guy that every offensive coordinator would love to have at guard. He's one of my favorite picks for the Saints. I would have loved to pick him. But I think that's a really good pick for the Vikings. They got Jeremiah Love in this draft. So if you give him someone to run behind, I'm just a big fan of it. One guy I'm surprised to see drop this far is Clemson wide receiver Antonio Williams.
All
Chris,
right.
I want to hear your thoughts because I'm pretty high on Antonio Williams. I love a lot of what he can do, and I think his impact in that Clemson offense shouldn't be understated. So I'm interested to see where you'll have him and where you think he should go.
In terms of pure talent, I have him as a first-round wide receiver. I think he is closer. To me, he's a lot like Jordan Tyson. Has the athletic speed. There were games where once he gets the ball, gets that first step, he's gone. You see him, and he has the breakaway speed. He has, he can make the catch and get separate from the wide receiver. It's all the nagging little injuries, the hamstring, ankle. It's always something. And again, if you're not healthy, as Bill Parcells once said, if you're not healthy, you're not helping me. So, yeah, Connor Lew, I'm surprised fell, but I get it. He got injured. You're worried about the knee. But, man, he is that perfect center in terms of he's perfect size, over 315, 320. He's an excellent run blocker, good pass blocker. And for the Panthers, anything to help out that offensive line, anything to keep Bryce Young upright, I'm all for.
And there we go, Ty Simpson off the board. One of the spots we said Steelers. And we talked about him a little bit, so I'm not going to spend too long on it because we had a pretty good conversation. But I do think that Ty Simpson to the Steelers is a pretty good landing spot because he may not start year one. I think you do bring in a veteran quarterback, whether it's Aaron Rodgers for another year or someone in free agency. But he's someone that just has the tools, has the NFL processing, has the IQ, has the arm to be an NFL quarterback. So I do like that.
Jayshon Bonham's going to be interesting. It's because he's one of those guys who he's an edge, but he played linebacker. He's 6'4", about 245, 240. He's pretty good in coverage. He's not great in coverage, but he's good. Excellent first step, good speed. For the Packers and have a way they like to use guys, it'll be interesting, if they still use the halfway defense or not. But yeah, he just feels like a Packer. It's somebody who could do a jack of all trades at either edge, linebacker, and they can mix and match.
I would like to address a question that Randy had in the chat. Antonio Williams is not my top 15. How do you translate? Like, you have it on screen right now. And I just disagree with it in all aspects, full respectfully. He's my wide receiver 10. And it's not that the offense was awful. And then when he came back, it magically became good. It's just look at Cade Klubnik. He is a safety blanket for a quarterback who, when he's in an offense, gives them a reliable weapon and can calm them down. You saw in the early season, Cade Klubnik was he just didn't look comfortable because he didn't have his guy. He didn't have his primary target, and the Clemson offense was just very stagnant as a whole because of it. And then when Williams came back, his savviness while route running, his explosiveness, his ability to bring in catches after the yards after the catch, all that is what elevated the Clemson offense. Antonio Williams just a safety blanket. He gives your quarterback someone that he can reliably get the ball to, and they can trust them to make a play. And yeah, you can say that the Clemson offense wasn't, but having that guy is so crucial in any offense. So I would disagree with the statement that says it won't translate to the NFL, because I think 100% will, and that every quarterback can use that guy.
Yep.
I mean, Tyler Shuck had that guy in Chris Olave. I think every quarterback needs that.
Well, let me ask you this, dude. I'm gonna put a gun to your head right now. You can have one wide receiver. You can have Antonio Williams, who has the potential, but you're not sure. You can get Skylar Bell, who he will do everything. He'll be the guy who makes the catch, who stays healthy, takes the hit. That's, I guess, the question. It's like if you're taking guys like Caleb Williams, Antonio Williams, even Chris, Jackson Jr., you're betting on they will be better. We can unlock the secrets. This coach knows how to get ahead. Our offense, our training staff will fix them. Mm-hmm. But they could also be bust. So again, I get
100%. I get the injury concerns. That is a legit concern, and is a reason he's not higher in my board, because that is a major thing that you have to watch out for. I would honestly rather have a major like collarbone injury, like for Jordan Tyson, than a lot of these nagging hamstring injuries. So it is a major concern, and that was a big reason why I didn't take him earlier in the draft. But I'm just saying the potential is there, and the depth and the safety for a quarterback is something that is crucial for an offense.
Okay, so we got a guy I'm definitely interested what you guys have to say about this pick for the Chargers. I'm looking for him. He's buried. Is he all the way at the bottom? Because Matt Golden hasn't been taken yet. So where are you guys on Matt Golden, the center from Michigan State? And Golden was taken over Brailsford, Slaughter, Coogan, Hecht. So
This guy I got to add to my watch list. I have not gotten eyes on him to this date, so I appreciate that shout out, and it's someone that I definitely need to get eyes on.
Chris,
yeah, I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see the Chargers taking it. But hey, maybe again, I didn't see a lot of them because maybe Michigan State wasn't a thing to watch. But again, Bud Clark. Yes, I will go off on him.
Yep.
He is if you want a safety who's going to gamble, who's going to attack the ball, God damn, that guy will do it. He'll drive some defensive coordinators nuts because he is the ultimate riverboat gambler where he'll go for the ball, either get it or not, sometimes not. But if you're drafting for aggression, if you're drafting for a guy who's going to make big plays, Bud Clark makes big plays.
John, and I forgot, John is in Michigan, so yes, he's a student at Michigan State. So Owen, when he covered Matt Golden when we did scouting reports, I think Owen might be the highest that I've heard on Golden, but he's not the only one that's like round 3-4 range on him. So, okay, and then we got Michael Trigg to the Jags. Go ahead, Chris.
Michael Trigg's an interesting guy. It seems like he's just a pure receiver. He doesn't block well. His drop rate's pretty alarming. It's I think like 9%. But in terms of just a pass catcher, he is a guy that you look and go, okay, well, you know what? He is big enough. He is a nightmare matchup for safeties, linebackers, understands zone coverages. He gets yards after the catch. It's just and look, I understand why Jacksonville will take him. It's just you're going to need to coach him a bit.
And I'll talk about Jadarian Price. Personally, I would have went Emmett Johnson, but I do really like Jadarian Price, and I think for the Bears, he is a great pick. He's first off, from a special teams value, a kick returner, punt returner, he is an absolutely outstanding participator. 2 touchdowns in 2025. He's got very limited wear and tear with Jeremiah Love. He's got a full steam of legs heading into the NFL. And I think his stats won't indicate it. He's got virtually no receiving stats. He had 6 receptions for 87 yards this year and 2 touchdowns. But he's got really good route running. It's just he doesn't get the chance because that's Jeremiah Love's time. But he's got absolutely outstanding acceleration, great vision. He's got he can expertly find gaps. He reads the offensive line incredibly well, and he's really good in pass protection. Now, I think he's elusive more than he is able to make people miss. He won't break a lot of tackles. I don't think his power is there for that. I don't think his juke move, spin move, etc. are all there for that. But he's very elusive and can run away into open space. And yeah, that's kind of what I said. So I do like him a lot. I have other plays a little bit higher, but I'm a big fan of Jadarian Price.
Okay, so we have 10 picks to go. I just want to give a shout out that we haven't even been going for 2 hours, and we only have 10 picks to go. Everybody drafting is aces to me. This is one of the fastest one of these that we've ever done. So. Oh, okay. The tight end from Houston.
Tanner Koziel.
Got it. Okay. So, Chris, what do you have on Tanner Koziel?
Yeah, that's somebody I have on my board. I do not have him. I know I don't have him that high. I have Max Clare. I have Oscar Delp. I don't have Kozier that high. So I'm gonna have to pull a blank. I gotta look at more of my scouting film on him.
So we need to take some bets here. Is Owen going to select Michael Taft from Texas? Is he going to select Red Murdoch from Buffalo? Or is he going to draft somebody else?
Michael Taft. I think that's.
I'm going Red Murdoch. Because, a Buffalo player in Buffalo is just sort of.
It's cinematic, but Michael Taft is. Owen's a big Michael Taft fan, if I remember right.
And Owen knows Red Murdoch. So Owen used to be a scout for the University of Buffalo. So he knows Red Murdoch. So.
What do you want, Jim? That's the big question. Do you want a safety or do you
Jim,
want?
I know Jim loves Red Murdoch. Jim's a big Red Murdoch guy. I know.
So it's one of these things, right? So I think Buffalo's need is it the outside linebacker spot. Red Murdoch would probably add depth to inside linebacker, but we would have Joe Andreessen there, and we would have Dorian Williams there, probably.
Dog, I love Dorian.
But then if you get Red Murdoch, maybe Dorian Williams is the other outside linebacker. So you're
trying to rationalize it. Again, you're like, we can put Red somewhere. I got to figure it out. It's like math for for teenagers. Like, okay, the 1, the 5, the 6. If this works out, we make sense of it.
Well, and I don't necessarily agree with that part of how Brandon Beane drafts, but Brandon Beane is always focused on he wants to make sure that the player he drafts has a path to the roster. And if you're in the third round, you need a path to get on the field quickly. And I don't know that drafting a linebacker here gets on the field quickly. Owen will probably tell me that I'm full of crap, and he might have a better vision for how he would put 4 linebackers on the field after drafting R. Mason Thomas in round 2. But to me, this could the interior offensive line has been picked over. So I don't think we would go interior offensive line here. But Buffalo has.
There's always Dante Corleone. He's still available.
But I think but Tim Keenan's also there. So meaning that just wait until day 3 and insert nose tackle here. Oh, okay. And he said Genesis Smith. I didn't see that.
I think that is the right pick. Genesis Smith falling this far is very surprising. He is such a good player, such a good safety, great range, can help against the run, good ball skills. So I do think that's the right pick. And just him falling this far is outstanding value for the Bills, especially with their need at safety.
So I've got a really good pick for you. So the 49ers are on the clock, and this is me. Can you imagine Antonio Williams going to the 49ers? That to me feels like a really good fit.
I think he'd be perfect with Brock Purdy. Someone who, him, George Kittle, you've got a really good, just safe players that you can get the ball to with having some explosive ones because they need a wide receiver bad. I think my number 1 fit for them is Chris Bell. I think that is a perfect match for that. But I do really like Antonio Williams just late in the 3rd round to them.
The only worry I have for Williams and San Fran is just you've seen all the injuries that the offensive wide receivers have gone through. It's almost like they're daring it. Yes, football gods, we know you've cursed us, but God damn it, we're going for the well again. 50th time is a charm. All right, Garrett Nussmeier to the Rams. You know what? It makes sense. He's
Shanahan quarterback.
Yeah. Anthony Russo talked about this. He is not the modern NFL quarterback, but the Rams don't seem to care. Matt Stafford's not the athletic guy. Nussmeier has a good arm. Yes, he sometimes makes a lot of risky mistakes. Yes, he's a bit small. Yes, he's not a great athlete. But for just what Sean McVay wants to do, this is Stafford's last run in 2026, perfect way for Nuss to put some weight on, hit the weight room, get more physical, and then 2027 steps right in with Puka, with the rest of the wide receivers he has, whether it's Adams is still there. Who they picking? Oh, they picked Mekhi Lemon. Yep. Perfect spot for Nussmeier.
Mm-hmm.
So Jolene is flipping a coin. Who do you think she's flipping a coin between for Denver?
Jake Slaughter looks like a Denver pick, especially with their center issues. But
fat man.
Daquan Wright, the tight end. Denver also needs a tight end who's not over the age of 40.
Yeah. Hey, you got Adam
It's Sean
Troutman. I
Allen,
know
all right.
him well. I know Adam Troutman well. High impact player, always. But Katron Allen, I do like that pick. I have Katron a little bit lower on my board. It's hard saying him versus Nick Singleton because Nick Singleton, the foot injury just pushes him below right now. So that is very disheartening. But Katron Allen, he's a very powerful runner. He's patient, let the block set up, then he follows him extremely well. He runs through arm tackles. Like you have no chance of bringing him down. Quick cuts. He's got a very effective stiff arm, and he just keeps his legs churning despite contact. Like you'll see a crowd of defenders come over to him, and he'll still fall forward for 3 extra yards. I don't think he's got amazing speed. That's not his game at all. And he's got good cuts, but isn't the most elusive / shifty player. He more prefers to run through them. But I think that is a pretty good spot for this point in the draft. I'm still shocked that Emmett Johnson hasn't gone, though. I'll keep banging that drum. Like, that is so surprising to me.
So, Chris, where are you in Jacoby Lane? And he went to the Patriots at pick 95.
I like it for the Patriots. Look, they need wide receiver help. Stephon Diggs is the latter part of his career, so he's not a great separator. Mac Hollins is just sort of a blocking wide receiver, and that's all they really have. Keyshawn Booty's their deep threat. I think Jacoby Lane's perfect in that he's sort of a tight end meets a wide receiver, and you get Jacoby Lane. He's not going to outrun you. He's not going to be a flashy guy, but excellent route runner, tall target, 6'4". And for Drake May, it's a guy that he could throw high, and Jacoby Lane will get it. So, yeah, great possession receiver, and somebody that the Patriots got to do something, guys. That wide receiver room is not that good.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Jacoby Lane, but even I have to admit, the fit with the Patriots is absolutely perfect. And he would be so good in that offense. Just Drake May just needs someone like him. And I don't think he's fast. I don't think he's a good separator. I think he's pretty stiff in his routes, but I think that'd be a perfect fit for him.
Okay, so the last 3 picks will be admin picks because I've been picking for all 3 teams. So the Eagles draft so far has been Ian Achor round 1, Cisse round 2,
Brazel round 3.
And they took Brazel earlier.
I like the Brennan Thompson fit, but they don't need it with Brazel having him early.
And they need a tight end. I think
Oscar
at this
Delp.
point, who are your best available tight ends right now at the end of round 3, Chris?
The guy, it depends on what you want. If you want a sort of a blocking tight end, Oscar Delp. If you want a receiving tight end, I'd go Eli Stowers, slightly over Max Clare. Daquan Wright's the guy that just has athletic ability. So, and I think just with a combination of intelligence, route running, and doing just smart plays, I'm higher on Eli Raridon than I am of everybody else. So those would be my guys. But I'll hit on Jalen Husky right now, safety from Maryland. That's what Seattle wants. He's 6'2", 201-pound cornerback safety, excels in press man coverages against bigger wide receivers, elite size, physicality. Like they were talking about that, on 98.5, we're covering the Seattle New England game. Like you look at Seattle, they love big, tall, big wingspan, defenders, and Husky just fits in right there.
So, Drew, where are you on the tight end board here for Philadelphia?
I mean, I think Chris said it perfectly where it's kind of choose what you want. If you want that really good blocking tight end who can still give you a little bit in the pass game, but it won't be nearly as effective as Oscar Delp, or you can go with Eli Stowers, who isn't great against the run, but I mean, he's like a wide receiver at tight end. So it's just all personal preference and what the offense needs.
Okay. So now we're up for the Steelers. This is their 4th pick.
Yep.
The Steelers have taken Ty Simpson in round 3. They took a wide receiver in round 2. I think they took Chris Bell. And then they took a corner. I think they took McCoy in round 1. Thoughts on what you guys would do with Pittsburgh here?
I think Zakee Wheatley is interesting. I need to see more of the board, but I would like him. trading
Any
Stoops.
additional thoughts, Chris?
I'd go Skylar Bell. Give him another wide receiver who, again, he's not the great athletic guy, but he's good, excellent route runner, tough, tough against, against contested catches, excellent hands, smart, understands coverages, understands zones. It's just whoever's going to be the quarterback there, whether it's Simpson, whether it's Will Howard, it's one more wide receiver in case DK Metcalf is seeing double teams all the time.
Yep, and I don't think we're going to have any Skylar objections from Drew.
No. I mean, I think at this point in the draft, he's a good player. I just don't think he has an A-list trait, but he does everything very well, and he's just a good football player. I think he'll be a really good wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3 in the league.
Okay. So
Devin Woods, I won't touch upon him. The athletic ability is there. You hear about it, and it's, he's 4.3 speed. He is intelligent. He has the tools. It just needs to be consistent. Taller corner, 6'2". So, again, he needs to get more physical. He has to, work on the technique in terms of gets caught flat-footed. But, again, this is somebody that I think fits perfectly with Brian Flores' defense, where he wants to play a lot of man-to-man, wants to blitz heavy, and Moore is a guy that he can just have as a good boundary corner.
Okay, and the Mr. Irrelevant, I'm going to go Grayson Holton to the Jaguars at the end of round 3 there. Okay. So, first of all, I want to give a special thank you to everybody in the chat. We cannot do a podcast like this without all of you. So there's 3 of us here on camera, but there were about 20 of you drafting. We can't do this without you. So I say thank you. Chris, do you want to let everybody watching know your social medias about your Last Call podcast and everything else that you do?
Yes, you can check me out once again, lastcallpodcast.com. I'm also on Twitter, Last Call WChrisC. I am on Facebook. I have a YouTube channel, Rumble, same thing, Last Call. And once again, if you check it out, we just like yesterday, we sat down with Anthony Russo, talked Senior Bowl notes, Caleb Banks versus Lee Hunter, the rise of Max Ian-Ankor, Garrett Nussmeier's potential. We even did a Super Bowl preview. And once again, love being on the Draft Professors podcast and just even every day, even every time, just learning something new and learning how to read and scout stuff.
And Chris, I mean, you're here every Friday. So if for those of you that are in the chat, you'll see Chris in the chat every Friday. He's just on the other side of the camera today. So Chris, I love your involvement with Draft Professor. I am so appreciative of your contributions. So thank you so much. And I definitely appreciate that you could do this with Drew and I. Drew, this is like your 3rd podcast of the week, I think, with just Draft.
Somewhere around that, yeah.
That doesn't include everything else that you're doing. But let all the fine people out there know who you are and how they can find you.
Yeah, so find me on X at Jerome Collings. I post a lot of stuff on there, pretty active. So go give me a follow there. Then I'm a writer for the New Orleans Saints at Who Dat Dish. I cover the NFL draft at Roundtable Sports for the Saints, Vikings, Chargers, 49ers, and Texans. So I write there pretty much daily. I'm on this podcast every Saturday mornings and Monday nights, as well as just periodically at random times. You really never know, but sometimes randomly throughout the week I'll be here. I have my own Saints podcast at the Dome Discussions. We're live once a week. You can come find us, talk Saints. And I write for Canton Sports newspaper at KU because I'm a student there. So, yeah, if you're a big Kansas fan, you can find me there as well.
And again, I just want to say thank you. If you are watching this podcast and you could hit that subscribe to the Draft Professor YouTube, that would be a huge thank you. We do these mocks every Friday. And ultimately the goal is, each week we'll see a few different players go in the top 100. You can begin to figure out, which teams are targeting those linebackers I want, or the safeties I want, or the offensive tackles that I want, those types of things. This is meant to be more random than a draft simulator, as well as help people come together. So we're going to be doing Epic Mock 26 April 9th, 10th, and 11th. And a lot of the criteria to participate in Epic Mock are the people that contribute to these podcasts. So you'll see Chris in Epic Mock, you'll see Drew in Epic Mock, you'll see me. I know Owen will be there. I know that Jolene will be there. Randy will be there. As I'm just going through the other names that I know so far. But ultimately, Epic Mock is where we're all going to come together. We're going to do our 7-round mock together. This helps you get to know who some of the contributors to Draft Professor are. With that being said, this is a record. We have never done one of these 3-round drafts in 2 hours and 5 minutes. They usually take 2.5 hours. But shout out to the chat because you guys were the ones getting the picks in quickly. So for Chris, Drew, myself, for the 110 people at the Draft Professor, thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great night, and we'll see you on a podcast tomorrow morning.